Backstage at the Iowa City Jazz Festival once again, day number 2 as we get ready for Colossus, the great big band who we had at our Jazz Under the Stars just last summer. And Michael Conrad is here to talk about the band. Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
Excited to play the band, the festival
very
today.
excited.
And another beautiful day for it.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the inception of Colossus. It goes back to the Eastman School out in Rochester, right?
Right. I did my master's degree at Eastman in Rochester. And a couple of friends of mine who are also composers, Levi Sailua and Dave Chisholm, we got together and decided we wanted to put together an ensemble to feature our original music and something that would be a little outside of what we were doing as part of our actual jazz curriculum, the sanctioned stuff at the school. And it just evolved from there.
So how'd you end up at Eastman? That's Pat that's Chuck Mangione territory out there.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of great history there. Well, I did my undergrad at University of Northern Iowa. I grew up in Iowa. And after that, I was looking for a place where I could really focus on writing, in particular, jazz composition and arranging. So I made kind of a short list of the schools I wanted to check out. Went out and auditioned and everything, and Eastman was just the best fit for me. I'm really glad that I ended up there. I learned a ton from Bill Dobbins and from everybody I studied there.
So was the band called Colossus to begin with out there? And
yeah, that credit for that goes to Dave Chisholm, because he's a huge comic book fan. In addition to being an outstanding trumpet player, incredible composer, he's also a really brilliant comic book artist. And he actually he wrote a 200-page graphic novel and wrote a bunch of music to accompany the book. So it's like each chapter of the comic corresponds to a track on the album. It's really amazing.
Man.
I played piano on it, and I think it's coming out sometime in the next year, hopefully.
Oh, cool.
But anyway, so Dave's kind of a comic book nut, and Colossus is like an old X-Men character. And he just thought it really fit kind of the vibe, the modern sound of the group, and also the size of the group.
You got to do some short film or something to, sync it up to the music. That'd be kind
very
of cool, too.
Yeah.
When did the band move back to Iowa? When did you start? Obviously, it took a break after you were done with school there, or how did that work?
Yeah.
You came back to Iowa? And
yeah, I got a job teaching high school at Waterloo West, which I've been doing the last couple years, teaching band and jazz band there. And I sort of knew that it was going to be a rough transition going from being in this conservatory setting and checking out concerts all the time and playing with all these great people. Not that there aren't great musicians in Iowa, obviously there are, and that's kind of the whole point of the band I assembled here. But I knew I was going to be wanting that creative outlet still in my life. I wouldn't be having my regular composition lessons and my ensemble rehearsals with my colleagues. So I started calling up people to gauge their interest, basically. Would you be into playing in a big band with me, playing some originals and stuff? And everybody was really supportive of the idea. And we kind of already had this book of charts from the band in Rochester.
Sure.
So I started with that. With the blessing of Levi and Dave, and then I started writing some new stuff, and it's grown into what it is.
so is it strictly Iowa players, or do you still have some Eastman cats in that
No,
band?
right now the band that's playing today is all Iowa people, all local people. We played at the Jazz Education Network conference in San Diego, which was earlier this year in January, and for that it was sort of a conglomeration. It was like some of the Eastman people, some of the Iowa people, and then a couple of California people. That's where Levi moved.
Oh, okay.
He's from Sacramento originally, so it was kind of like all these people who have played this music, but and had never played it all together. So that was kind of interesting. But today's group is all Iowa folks. I guess Chris Van Leeuwen is living in Kansas City now, but he's remained a member of the band, which is pretty cool.
Is this the same lineup that you had on the CD? Was that 2013 you put out?
No, that's the Rochester people.
Okay.
That CD basically was my my master's project, like my media project that's built into their jazz and contemporary media degree there. So that you get 10 hours of studio time, and I decided to use it for that, to document what we were doing. So yeah, if people purchase the album, they'll actually be hearing the Rochester people, not the Iowa people. But some of the music is the same, It's amazing how much the musicians, especially in a jazz context, affect the way the music sounds, though. We're playing some of the same charts, but it brings a whole new life to them with different players.
So I know you probably can't name all the players. That'll take quite a while, but kind of give us some highlights of where people are coming from for this
Sure.
ensemble.
Well, one of the the soloist who's featured quite a bit, and just one of my favorite musicians and people in the world is Chris Mertz, who was my teacher at Northern Iowa.
Oh.
And he plays tenor, saxophone in the band, and also plays soprano and a little bit of clarinet and flute here and there. So we've got a couple of guys from UNI. We've also got the trombone professor, Anthony Williams, who is someone who did his master's at UNI right before I got there. Our paths didn't quite intersect.
And he was relatively new to UNI, right?
Yeah, this is just his first year, I think, as full-time. Like, he was the interim professor, and then he got hired as the full-time guy, which is
because I know
just
Chris
awesome.
Buchholz was there for a while. He took off.
Right, that's who I studied trombone with.
Oh, okay,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. So we've got some UNI guys. We got University of Iowa guy, Steve Grismore, playing guitar in the band. I mentioned Chris Van Leeuwen, who's a professional musician living and working in Kansas City, though I think he just moved to Columbia, Missouri, sort of in between Kansas City and St. Louis. Dave Teedy on the drums from Cedar Rapids. Drew Morton, an Iowa City guy. And I kind of grew up playing with Drew a little bit in high school, actually. He went to Moline High School, and I grew up in the Quad Cities as well, in Bettendorf. So we've known each other for a long time. Just a phenomenal and versatile musician. Dave Rezik out of Des Moines is another guy. I like you said, I'm not naming the whole band, but these are some of the guys who are featured quite a bit because I just love the way they play.
Sure. So you have plans to do any more recording with this particular edition of the band?
There's no plan currently in place, though. I would love to. It'd be especially cool since we've got that album that you mentioned from Rochester to kind of document this band and hear how it's changed, and play the newer stuff. I think that would be pretty cool, but it's also challenging to find the funds and the means to record a big band. And the other challenge is that I'm moving on Monday to Colorado.
Oh,
so
wow! What's going on out there?
I'm starting a doctorate in jazz studies.
Oh, great!
At University of Northern Colorado.
Good for you.
Thank
Is that Greeley?
That's Greeley.
Greeley.
Yep.
All right. Excellent. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you. So at least for a while, this will sort of be it for Colossus. This is kind of a last hurrah performance. Though we've talked about the possibility of resurrecting at some point. Who knows after I finish that degree where I'll end up. So if it's back in Iowa, then there's a good chance the band could be reborn.
That'd be great. You guys sound great. All the stuff you've done so far is really good. And
thank you.
I would imagine, now is it all your compositions you're playing today, or are you going to mix in some of the others?
Today, the set will be all stuff that I've written, all compositions, and one arrangement of a 9 Inch Nails song called Hurt.
Oh, okay.
But the rest are originals. And the thing I'm really excited about putting on the program today is a 5-part suite. It's about 30 minutes in its entirety, broken up into 5 different pieces. And that's something I wrote while I was at Eastman. And each part of the suite is based on phrases that my grandpa says that have stuck with me or make me laugh or whatever. So each title kind of corresponds to something that he's said over the years, and that was the original inspiration for writing those pieces and put them together, and that's going to be how we close out our set today.
Are you doing stuff with the Commons Collective?
No, I've never played with them, though I've heard them play many times.
Yeah.
I'm really good friends with those guys. And John Snell, who's one of the main writers and players in the Commons Collective, and Nolan Schrader are both in this band.
Oh, okay.
Colossus.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I know you were tied in there somehow.
So there is a connection.
There in your band. Well, we're looking forward to the set today. It's always great to hear your band, and sorry to hear you're not going to be playing much after this, but hopefully you'll get back together eventually someday, and maybe a new band, new Colossus out in Colorado somewhere with some cats out there.
I don't know. I was joking with the band. I'm thinking about just putting a smaller group together, something that's a little more marketable, easier to get some gigs. Though we've been able to play around a little every couple months or so,
Because Denver's got some cool places to play.
Sure. I've heard Denver's got a nice little scene. We'll be pretty close to Fort Collins as well.
Oh, okay, sure.
And there's some stuff going on there, and Paul McKee's at Boulder. I might try to get some lessons from him.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, good luck in your future endeavors, and looking forward to hearing you this afternoon.
Thanks so much.
Michael
Really
Conrad
excited.
of Colossus, who are going to be here in just a few minutes at the Jazz Festival.